Alright, what's up YouTube? I just wanted to do this quick video. This is my local area here. This is the news station, WTAJ-TV, that has the show. Used to be We Are Central PA Live. Now it's Studio 814 that my brother played on multiple occasions. Him and his band performed on the show. But WTAJ News is I would like to consider them a fair and balanced, or a source of information that the people can trust. I would like to. I would really like to. But when they do stuff like this, it puts it into question. So this is a story. Check this out.
Sarah Byrne was originally arrested. A Johnstown woman is facing charges after police say she called 911 more than 200 times in 2 days. We're told that Sarah Byrne was originally arrested May 24th for calling the Cambria County District Court more than 1,300 times and making threats. Now she's facing additional charges for threatening officers and continuing to threaten a magisterial district judge in calls made to Cambria 911. Officials say that she called Stony Creek Township Police Department so many times threatening officers that they blocked the number, which transferred 232 calls to 911. She's now in Cambria County Prison facing a number of charges. A Johnstown woman is facing charges after...
So, now, I'm sorry, but when you do a news story, I put a big comment in here, and I left this big comment. I hope it don't get censored, but when you have a news story, a responsible journalist, a responsible news agency, they have a higher standard. They have a responsibility to the public to put out the facts, the news, the story to the public, so that people aren't left with assumptions, and they're not left with a bunch of facts that are just missing. You don't obfuscate certain things when you do a news story like that, because that creates bias people. It creates people that act a certain way and judge a situation when, if they had the whole story and all the facts, that damn well that they would look at it differently. That certain situations where, I don't know, I'm just going to use my imagination, and I'm going to say, what if this woman had an incident involving police misconduct, right? And she was wrong. She was, they did her wrong. And there's nobody else to call but the cops, who do you report it to? So, and, with her frustration, what is she to do? But call over and over again well, threaten the cops. They said that she's being charged for threats. Well, how come they didn't say what the threats were? Because I've seen news stories where they have no problem saying very specifically what the threats are that people make. So when they do a news story like this and they don't say what the nature of her call was about, what was she mad about? Why did she feel the need to call that many times? I'm sorry, I can't be the only one asking that question. So the fact that the news does this story and they don't even, they beat around the bush. They just say what happened. Oh, well, she threatened the police. Did she now? Well, what do you consider a threat? What did she do to threaten the cops? The cops have all the guns and the arresting power. How is a person like that going to threaten the cops with all those calls? So that she didn't actually threaten them with violence and shit like that, or else there wouldn't have been 200 and some calls. They would have went and fucking arrested her way earlier than that. The fact that they blocked her number tells me that they didn't want to do their job, that they were trying to ignore a situation. It's not that hard to see. They wanted to ignore a situation. They didn't want to do their job. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. I'm just using my imagination. But anybody can clearly see how a situation could go that way, right? And if that's the case, and there are facts that are missing on this, stuff that would cause the public to to be up in arms against the police if they wronged her some way. I'm sorry, but the news, you guys are simping for the cops then. In that case, you guys have the same questions that I do. There's no way that you reported on this story and didn't ask those questions. So the fact that you probably know what it is and you obfuscated it, you didn't mention any more specific detail about it tells me it really does. I'm not being paranoid. It tells me that there's something you don't want the people to hear about it. You know, you don't want the people to know what the threats were, or it's just not even worthy of charges. And it's just somebody that's mad, which is understandable, and who doesn't need to be in the go to jail for it. I could be wrong. I'm not saying that I know what's up here. I'm just saying I can perfectly, very easily see a situation here where um, everybody involved is complicit in allowing corruption to take place, right? Allowing the cover up, the public cover up of police misconduct, of a situation where the cops do somebody dirty, and she's trying to hold them accountable, trying to make them do their job. I guess I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the details, but this is one of them situations where I got this curse of being right all the time, and every time I say that, I end up being right on shit. It pisses people off. I don't mean to piss people off, but I'm not right. Because I'm a narcissist. It just I just happen to be right about shit, and there's people that get mad about that. And it's not my fault that you're mad because I just kind of point things out to people that wouldn't really. Most people don't think about this shit. You don't think about it until it happens to you, till they do it to you. You back the blue until it happens to you. I wouldn't have thought about this in, you know, 5 years ago. I wouldn't have thought like this. I wouldn't have even given it 2 seconds to think about, that they did her wrong. I would have just, the programming causes you to look at this woman right here, right, and say, well, she's a criminal because the news says she is, right? A crazy criminal, for calling over 200 times, That is what's important, that they felt the need to even put that in the news story here. Woman charged for calling 911 over 200 times, okay? I mean, come on. Isn't I can't believe I'm the only one. There must not be a lot of people that watch this shit. It says it got 62 views since yesterday. 62 views and one like. There was one like there. Somebody liked it, but nobody left any comments except for me. I'm the first person to leave a comment. And the comment, this is what I said.
A news story shouldn't result in comments like this. I'm really curious to know what her calls were in reference to. She had to have a pretty good reason to make her want to keep calling over and over again. We all know that cops tend to lie quite often, so the only way to report on stuff like this and gain the trust of the public would be to tell both sides of the story instead of just acting as the police's personal public relations agency. Responsible journalism would have been to say less until you know more, so that it doesn't create more ignorant citizens that just make assumptions about anyone that is ever charged with a crime. Didn't anyone at WTAJ-TV care to find out what her side of the story is? Isn't that what the news is supposed to do? Ask the right questions to get the whole picture so they can report it to the viewers. People are naive, and most people don't realize how the cops treat certain situations to cover for each other's crimes.
So, and that's just the truth. I'm sorry. It's the um, what's that the documentary by Al Gore, the whatever, the uncomfortable truth. I forget what it's called. The inconvenient truth. Yeah, it's the inconvenient truth, right? I'm sorry that it's inconvenient for people, but the truth is still the truth. There's a lot of people that are in jail on some bullshit because the cops are, frankly, more criminal than anybody. They violate people's rights, and they just the authority and the power goes to their head. And when somebody like this is calling, demanding that something be done, I'm guessing that's what she was doing, calling to demand that something be done, not to threaten them. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but who thinks I'm wrong? Who who out there thinks that I'm wrong and I just have this whole situation just completely wrong. It could be, but the only way to find out is to learn the other side of the story, to learn these the facts, to answer the questions that I'm asking. I know I'm not the only one. Anybody else who's ever been violated by the cops are asking the same questions. And anybody who's never gotten in trouble before, they're sitting up on their high horse right now, right? And they're getting mad at me for questioning the police, right? and and they're too perfect to even see it, even realize, what they're doing, that they are controlled opposition, you know. I mean, come on, look, this woman does not look like a criminal to me. I don't know what a criminal looks like, but criminals don't usually call the cops, you know. This one, she called over 200 times in a couple days. So, what would they do if there's a situation that they can't control? They want to ignore it, right? They want to ignore it so bad, and they got this woman that keeps trying to hold their feet to the fire, right? Well, they're gonna have to charge her with a crime and make her look like a criminal, discredit her so that nobody believes her, nobody hears it. That's the next step there if they're trying to cover something up. So then the news comes out and does this story and doesn't ask those questions and doesn't report the specifics about what were her threats to the cops. What was she threatening them with? More phone calls? I mean, that's what people do whenever they're pissed. Whenever the public's up in arms, they make phone calls. They they call. So the cops don't want to do their job, and then they learn these little tactics like on how to charge people, how to charge citizens with crimes if they don't, if they try to make them do their job. You see how fucked up it's gotten. You see, you can say that I'm wrong all you want, and that cops are our heroes, and they need a break, and they need, White Rabbit said it. He sent me a comment that said, Trump's gonna give police more protection, you know, and complete immunity. And that's a scary fucking thing right there. That's a scary fucking thing. Imagine what they do already to violate people's rights. You give them complete immunity. What's that gonna do? That's just gonna cause more corruption. I mean, think about it. It's not gonna cause more crime. Well, it is, but it's not. It won't be reported on. It'll be the silent crimes, the crimes that never get told, never get heard. You know, and it's going to create more victims, more people. Hey, that's whatever. You guys are shooting yourselves in the foot. You know, you back the blue till it happens to you, and you guys keep doing this to people. You don't realize the people have the power. The people outnumber the cops fucking probably 100 to 1. I mean, what do you guys, where do you think this is going? Is that why the FBI, has a bunch of cops coming down to D.C. to brief the cops on public, on issues of just normal public safety and to dealing with the public? You guys have to be briefed by the federal government, by the feds, by the FBI. Like it's supposed to be a separation of powers there. Like there's the state, and the feds, right? They're not supposed to work together like this. Um, they're not supposed to take directives. Your local police are not supposed to take directives from the federal government. They're not supposed to take their orders from the FBI. The sheriffs in your local county are your last line of defense. They are the ones who are elected officials who are tasked with protecting your rights, and frankly, public safety. Police are just the even lesser, you know, local law enforcement. You have your state police, you have your county sheriff's department. They're in charge of like the the detainment of incarceration of prisoners. The sheriffs usually handle the jails, right? They're usually the jailers. But the police, they just get to go around beating people up and putting torture cuffs on them and kidnapping them, and then they give them to the sheriffs. The sheriffs in Cambria County typically don't go around enforcing laws. They go around serving warrants and picking people up that have warrants, but there's enough of that to go around. They don't have to patrol and pull people over, and you know. But it seems like we're gonna have to. It's gonna come to a head. You know, you just got to ask. You just got to get involved and ask your local sheriffs if they're gonna have your back when the police come knocking at your door trying to violate your rights. Are the sheriffs gonna have your back, or are they gonna be complicit and protect the police? You know, and allow the police to do that. Because at that point, if it gets to that point, the sheriffs are won't enforce the Constitution and won't protect the Constitution, and they allow the police to do this and to violate the citizens of the county that they swore in it to protect, then we no longer have a republic. We don't have it is anarchy. It's chaos. There's no government. It's tyrannical, and that's it. So we're getting there. I mean, I'm not trying to be a fearmonger or anything, but we are absolutely getting there. That's what it's looking like. So, I'm not putting this on the news anchor. She's good at reading her teleprompter and everything. It's not her that wrote the story. It's not her that dictated what stories get told and what gets obfuscated. I'm sure, but they just have this relationship with law enforcement and police. It's a little too buddy buddy, where they do the cops' public relations work for them, pretty much. They did it in my case on purpose. They did it in my case. They, disseminated some information to Facebook, to Altoona Mirror, to WTAJ, to WJAC. Um, the different Carrolltown Police have a Facebook page. They put the story on their page as well because they know how effective it is. It gets to a lot of people and it can really influence people to believe a certain thing when they all knew it was absolute bullshit. They all knew it was a lie. They made up the lie. And they did it to protect their own ass. So they do this to people. They use the news, they use this shit, and they lie to manipulate people. And then people who don't know any better, people are naive. They've never been violated by the police like that. They have this idea that anybody who's charged with a crime must have done something wrong. Well, that you're charged with a crime, you must have done something to get that. And it's just totally fucking wrong. That mindset is toxic. That mindset is bad. That you don't want to think for yourself anymore. Like you just allow these people to think for you and tell you what's up. You don't want to come to your own decision. Personally, I would like to continue to think for myself. I don't want the news to do the thinking for me. I, you know what I mean? But that's what you see though. Time and time again, you turn on the news, and they always have a section with a bunch of mugshots and reports that they're reporting on, but they're leaving out a lot of details. They're obfuscating certain things, anything that would make the cops look bad, anything. They don't talk about it, and if that's the case, they shouldn't report on that story at all. They can't do that. That's against the people. That's against the truth, and it's just frankly it's wrong. Like you guys might as well be lying by doing that. There's things in place for like prosecutors and attorneys. Like people that work that officers of the court. Okay, there's laws in place. There's criminal statutes to cover if like say a public defender or a prosecutor were to do this, if they were to obfuscate something that they know to be true, but they just purposely leave it out of the case, there's criminal statutes for people like that to actually charge them with a crime because what they're doing is no better than the criminal themselves. It's just like lying. Omittance of the truth is just as bad as lying itself. Okay, and you can absolutely be charged for that if you're a public servant or if you're an officer of the court. That's why those statutes are written, for specifically reasons like that. However, who is there to enforce those statutes? Whenever you're trying to enforce those statutes on law enforcement, it makes it kind of tough, right? And there is no check or balance for those people. Well, there is, but people just don't want to admit it. We are, let me repeat, we, the people, are the check and balance on the police. So the people that keep, um, bitching at anybody who is trying to, advocate against certain things the cops are doing, if you're a simp for the police, you don't realize you are the problem here. You are the problem. You allow yourself to be manipulated and allow yourself to be brainwashed, programmed to believe whatever they tell you. And I'm telling you, they lie. They lie so much. That's all they do is lie. It's really all they fucking do is lie. Not, I mean, obviously that not all they do. There are criminals, and yet when there's criminals and crimes that need to be enforced, they're still the guys to do it. But that they participate and they engage in so much of this other activity that it's unreal. It's unreal. Okay? I'm sure there was another way to handle this situation with this Sarah Byrne. I mean, I'm sure there had to be another way to handle it. I don't know. But I just like I'm left with questions. So that's my main point here is I'm left with questions. And it seemed like very obvious questions to me. Very simple, obvious questions. So is it that bad now? Nobody can think for themselves. Nobody else is asking these questions. Is it really? I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. But the news wonders why they're not trusted anymore. Why nobody trusts what's on the news. And this is a perfect example. This is the shit they do. Why would anybody trust you when you work for the police? You know, and the police are supposed to work for us, but they clearly don't. you know, it's the good old boy gang and then us. And if you're not in the good old boy gang, you better start paying attention and learn your rights because it's just a matter of time. Simple as that. Unless you plan on going and becoming a cop here, real soon. There is a pretty high demand for it, and I hear that you don't have to have very many skills, or you don't have to be good at anything to be a cop. So whatever. Anyway, hopefully we find out more about this situation. I guess we'll see, huh? Stay tuned. Be good or be good at it. Peace.